Hello and welcome to The Healing Way. My name is Richard Clark and this is part 4 of a series of videos I'm doing entitled Rheumatoid Arthritis, Cells and Cancer. If you've just come across this video, please have a look at the previous ones so that you can understand what I'm trying to do here. As I left it in the last video, we got to the point where food energy, which is really the power of death or regeneration. It's what's left over once everything good has been taken out of the food. This is quite an interesting concept. It's quite an interesting thing to look at. I'm having trouble with the words on this because this particular concept, it's not really an energy and it's not really a power. It's very difficult to explain what it is. It is the forerunner of what happens next. And it is, I started at first in previous videos referring to it as a death power because it comes when we are, from our point of view, dead and matter is not in a living form. But really, since then I've looked at it again and it seems to me that calling it a regeneration power or a regeneration force is possibly a better way of describing it. Everything that lives dies and falls to earth, returns to earth. That's the physical body. And the food we eat passes out of us as waste and returns to the earth. And the earth is the place where this regeneration power for physical substance lives. It's a cruder form, let's say, than the regeneration power that visits people when they're dead. This is not a very good way of putting it. There's not much difference between what we are when we're in a body and what we are when we're out of the body. The main difference would be when the body dies and what is left, what has passed out of the body, is then regenerated. We're then given the pattern or the form or the force or whatever it is for the next cycle of life. So we're re-energized. The next page of our lives is written into us, and then we pass into a physical form and we experience and express and give out everything that we've been given in death. That's the human side, and that energy is much finer, much more subtle, much more fluid than the energy that deals, or the regeneration force that deals with physical forms. Physical form is cruder, is not so fluid, is more solid. It's got a very similar state to carbon. In fact, I wondered for a while if it was carbon, and I had a look at that, trying to understand it better, but I don't think it is. It seems that carbon and the regeneration force are allies. They work together. And I've heard it said we are carbon-based life forms. So that could be why. So everything that lives on the earth and grows from the earth takes in the pattern that this regeneration force has given us. A thing dies, it falls into the earth. In the earth, the physical substance is transformed into that which can be used for life by the regeneration power. Okay, so everything that grows from the earth and everything that eats the food absorbs all this. So food and our physical bodies have this power within them. We eat food and this regeneration power passes out with the food waste back into the earth. Everything that dies or is waste falls back into the earth. Now, what I've been saying on these videos is that power or energy is being reabsorbed back into the body due to damage done to the intestines by primarily antibiotics. We now refine moulds into antibiotics, but I think this process has been going on for centuries. A lot of foods have moulds grow on them, penicillin type moulds, and I think these are damaging to our bodies. What we've done is accelerate this damage because we've refined these moulds into very powerful drugs which affect our bodies very powerfully. So damage is done to the intestines that allows this regeneration or death power energy to be reabsorbed back into our bodies. Now, what I'm looking for is the underlying condition of cancer and rheumatoid arthritis. This power going back into our bodies seems to be the underlying condition that we refer to as rheumatoid arthritis. What activates this and makes it come out in different places in the body, I haven't got that far. I'm just at the moment looking at this underlying condition. Right. Our cells process this energy, or try to process this energy, this regeneration power, this pre-energy, this state, whatever it is, and that gives rise to other problems, other conditions that we call illness, asthmas, migraines and stuff like that. That is not the only source. They can also come from absorbed environmental pollution. But this business of the cells processing this material or energy or power, I need to look at closer. But for the minute, what I'm seeing, what I'm perceiving is the regeneration power binds with our DNA. Now our DNA is in a state of rotation. That's why it spirals. If you look at the strands, they're spirals, what they call them, helices. And I believe this is because the universe is in a state of rotation. Certainly the Earth is, it spins on its axis, it rotates around the Sun. Our solar system is in a rotation, orbit in the galaxy, as far as I understand it. So everything is in a spiral. And this gives rise to this rotation in our DNA. Now, as I've said previously, this regeneration energy passes up the spine. The tip of the spine, the coccyx, acts like a sensor. And this senses what's happening in the body, particularly the intestines, as waste passes out of the body. And the tip of the spine acts as a sensor, sending information to the brain, so the brain can monitor the situation in this particular part of the body. It's quite ingenious. Now, unfortunately, this energy, this regeneration power or energy has gone back into the body and is then absorbed through the coccyx into the spine and passed into the brain, where it causes damage to the brain. The brain, under this influence, with this energy or power in it, in the cells, cannot function properly. That is a problem. It cannot function properly, and this gives rise to some forms of dementia. Some forms of dementia. It's not everything, it's not the explanation, it is one explanation of many. It gives rise to dementia. And another side effect to this is the brain stops being able to energise the body the way it normally does. And I'm talking about energising in a certain way. It causes the DNA, the rotation of the DNA, to spin or vibrate at a certain speed. That's what the brain does when it isn't affected. When it's affected, this rotation slows down. Now, this is the difference between matter in the body and matter not being in the body, being in the earth. Say a person's died, the body returns to the earth. So, in the earth, the regeneration energy starts to do its job. It starts to regenerate the matter in the earth. Now, how does it know the difference between energy that is for want of a better word, dead. Matter that, for want of a better word, is dead, or matter that is in a living body. Why doesn't that energy start to reprogram or re-energise living matter? What protects living matter from the regeneration energy? And I think it's the speed of rotation in the DNA. Others would probably say it's the vibration. Most people I've spoken to over the years always talk about vibration, but I never see it. I never see the body vibrating, but I do see this as a process of rotation. Anyway, whatever it is, it's that rotation or vibration indicates to the regeneration energy that that material body is alive, not dead. Now that's how it normally is, but when the brain stops powering up the body so much and the rotation starts to slow down, this regeneration energy then sees the living body as dead, and then it starts to invest it, starts to get into it, to reprogram it for the next cycle while it's still living. Okay, and that I think is where the problem is, that this our DNA starts to be reprogrammed. These are very inaccurate words. It's difficult, but you could probably see where it's going. That the cancer that I'm talking about is gross, and this energy organises matter. This regeneration energy or power organises matter into growth. Our bodies grow according to a pattern, and it's this regeneration energy, amongst other things, provides the pattern. It provides the pattern, so we start to get a fresh cycle of growth in a living body. And I hope you can see where I'm going with this, because this is the forerunner of cancer. This is the underlying condition, and I'm talking about lumps, what they call tumours. I'm not talking about any other kind of cancer, because although it might be part of this, I haven't seen it and I haven't looked at it. And by other parts, I'm talking about blood, skin cancer, stuff like that. So this is what I'm looking at, the underlying condition. Right? The underlying condition. It's obviously a lot more to this. For instance, outside influences provoke a response. It seems to me that what happens is something like smoking causes a breakthrough of the underlying conditions in the lungs. Right? Without the underlying condition, I don't believe it can be there. It can happen. But at the moment, this is at the far end of my perception. This is as far as I've got. So that's what I want to look at. Why certain cancers arise in certain areas. You get brain cancer, you get lung cancer, you get stomach cancer. Why they appear where they appear in the body. What is it that provokes it? Is it something separate, something an entirely different process, or is there, as I think, some external factor causes a breakthrough? That seems to be the case in a lot of it. I don't think it's one or the other. I think probably it's a mixture, but definitely external factors provoke the underlying condition and cause certain areas to grow out of control, which we call cancer. Now, I have noticed certain people are almost an expression of this regeneration energy, or the death power, as I used to call it. They almost are an expression of it. They are part of the death energy. They are drawn to death. They are interested in corruption, in darkness, in this aspect of life, decay. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is life and death. It's all part of one process. We live, we die, we're regenerated, we come back in some other form. That's how it appears. But some people are an expression of this, and as I've said before, this does explain why, with the regeneration power or the death power being active, an active component of this problem, it does explain why, as I've said on previous videos, why with cancer the death power is in evidence, or the regeneration power. Whereas other diseases, I've worked on people with other diseases that are terminal, but the death energy, the death power is not there. It's not there, but it is with cancer. And that is what intrigued me, and why cancer seems to be the other side of the coin to rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so that ties that in. Now, the other thing I'm getting a lot of is, what is the answer to this? Well, it's early days yet, but it seems that what needs to be done, as far as I can tell, the healing methods that I've set out, healing with energy, steps 1 to 4, seems to put right what's wrong, the damage that's been done to the intestines. So hopefully that will help that condition. Although, to be honest, I don't know which method does it, whether it's one method in particular. I get the feeling it's number 4. But it's only a feeling. It could be a mixture of all of them or one of the others. I do not know for sure. But what I'm getting is, for people who have got this problem, cancer, the method that needs setting out, and I don't want to raise anyone's hopes up here because this is pure, at the moment, this is pure working out. These are like work print videos or stepping stone videos. It's very early days. I'm working stuff out. Ideally, obviously, everybody wants to produce methods that work for illnesses, not just cancer, but everything. We all want to do that. But it has to be taken very carefully, step by step. One of the points of doing these videos is so that others can follow. Others can follow me and say, yeah, we can see what he's on about. Maybe we've got a better idea here, or we missed something here, or whatever it is. You know, it's something people can follow. So, it's early days yet, but what I'm thinking is, for people who have got this condition, what needs to be done is the DNA has to be rotated faster to get it back, to get it spinning at its right level. Now, if you studied the DNA, if it was possible to look at the DNA, it probably doesn't move. And if after we've found a method to make it speed up, you might not see a difference. But I honestly do believe the answer here is to make the DNA unattractive to the death power or the regeneration power. And the way to do that is to change its signature, its energy signature, so that the death power now sees the DNA as being living and leaves it alone, or leaves it. This method, I believe, involves gravity. So after a long trek, we've got back to one of the forces or interactions of nature, gravity, and I also get very strongly centrifugal force, which is a spinning force as far as I understand it. Beyond that, I've got nothing. This is step 4 with this, and I want to build up gradually. This is very important. It's not just important from an illness point of view. Obviously, if you've got the illness, it's very important, but it's very important from an understanding of us, how we work, and in a sense where we're going. You know, it would be nice to actually work with things to try and get away from this idea, this total idea of being independent, free will and individual, and to actually see we are expressing and living something that we've been given. We've been given what we need to express and go through each cycle of our lives. And as somebody once said to me, our lives are like pages in a book. Pages together make the whole book and the whole story. You know? This is a little bit of conjecture on my part, which I try and steer clear of, because I like to stick with stuff that I've actually directly perceived. I'm not advocating any kind of religion here, I'm just saying this is how the process seems to me. Okay, good, I'm pleased with this. We've got this far. We'll leave it at that. So the next step is to work on how to speed up the DNA, how to bring this idea. I don't know why it's gravity. It seems that gravity is part of the spinning process. It's almost like that which spins has gravity, rather than the other way round, rather than gravity produces spinning. But it doesn't seem like that. It seems that that gravity spinning affects gravity. But whatever it is, hopefully we'll get further along with this. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope you'll carry on watching and you'll have a look at further videos. Thank you very much. Bye bye.